Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your October the 20th just for today in a meditation. How are you doing this morning? I hope you're well. Okay, the title of the meditation, Freedom to Choose. Enforced morality lacks the power that comes to us when we choose to live a spiritual life. That comes from the basic text, page 45. In our active addiction, many of us lived our lives by default. We were unwilling or unable to make choices about how we wanted to act, what we preferred to do, or even where we would live. We allow the drugs or other people to make our most basic decisions for us. Freedom from active addiction means, among other things, the freedom to make those choices for ourselves. Freedom of choice is a wonderful gift, but it's also, a great responsibility. Choice allows us to find out who we are and what we believe in. However, in exercising it, we're called on to weigh our own choices and accept the consequences. This leads some of us to seek out someone who will make our choices for us, our sponsor, our home group, our NA friends, just as our disease made our choices for us when we were using. That's not recovery. Seeking others' experience is one thing. Abdicating personal responsibility is something else. If we don't use the gift of freedom we've been given, if we refuse to accept the responsibilities that go along with it, we'll lose that gift and our lives will be diminished. We are responsible for our own recovery and our own choices. Difficult as it may seem, we make those choices for ourselves and become willing to accept the consequences. Just for today, I am grateful for the freedom to live as I choose. Today, I will accept responsibility for my recovery, make my own choices, and accept the consequences. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Thank you, God. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. We're talking about freedom to choose today. This quote here in the basic text, enforced morality lacks the power that comes to us when we choose to live a spiritual life. In this particular meditation, they are focusing on choice, right? The freedom to choose. And the beautiful pieces that come to our life as a result of being able to make choices, choosing what we want to do, and receiving the consequences, not always negative, right? Not in recovery. Sometimes in life in general, whether you're using or not, some of our choices don't always end up with us in the mud, okay? So we're making choices today with a conscious mind that's clean, which means that we're able to weigh out our decision. We're not forced into a corner to make a certain decision. And if we feel that we are, then that is an indication, I believe, that we need to take some more time. Because our choice today is a gift that is given to us. It is evidence of freedom that we have found that has been given to us through the gift of desperation. It's not to be taken lightly. This meditation is not, however, talking a little bit more about the enforced morality that lacks power. But an example, if one would need it, enforced morality lacks the power, right? Compared to choosing to do the right thing and live a spiritual life. There's certain entities or organizations or people that will cause us to do certain things because that's the standard, that's the moral standard. And if you don't, there's a price to pay. Religion oftentimes is one, but it's not the only one. Don't be confused about that, right? We have a society of law and order. The laws that we live by is another one. But if a person doesn't feel that it's wrong to commit murder, even though they're going to do some time for it, more than likely, right? It's against the law to take another life. It's against the law to abuse a person. If a person doesn't feel that way and they do it anyhow, there's going to be an enforcement of punishment, in other words, because they broke that law. So there's different laws. All of them are different ways of enforcing morality. All of them are not necessarily religious. Here's the point. We grow better and do better when we get to choose our path rather than having someone force us to do it. What happens sometimes, we get into recovery and we decide, I had a lot of choices or a lot of things forced on me that I didn't want to do when I was actively using. Now what do I do? You mean I have all these decisions I can make? And the only consequence to pay is the one that comes with that particular decision, and I have to pay it? Well, you know what? I would rather ask my sponsor, have my sponsor tell me what to do. And then if it doesn't work out, I said, well, I just did what my sponsor told me to do, and it's not my fault. It's the same mentality as using the drugs as a scapegoat, right? The reason why I did such and such, I was in active addiction, or the drugs made me do it. I was out of my mind when I did that. But now we've just transferred, right? We've transferred the blame over to an individual. And they're right. That's not recovery. It's okay to ask your sponsor, what do you think? But at the end of the day, what do you think? And what choice are you going to make? And is the price that needs to be paid with that choice or the consequence one that you're willing to pay? Or will you place the blame on someone else when it doesn't work out the way you want it to? And that's the power of choice today. We have the freedom to analyze it honestly and decide for ourselves. My name is MightyStream, and I want for you to have a beautiful day on purpose.